Well, you're old enough to remember the Redeem Team, at least, I hope, right?
I am old enough to remember it, and I did watch the Netflix special. I thought it was really, really good. I think the storytelling aspect was cool for me to see, having played with Melo, knowing Bron, knowing a lot of the players that played and were a part of it. It's just really cool to see the behind the scenes, seeing Coach K coach and being able to see him voice like some of his concerns. Like, I'm a college coach. I'm coming in, I'm working with all these players. Like, this is the most important, job I've had. Like, I'm representing our country. I love the storytelling aspect of his ability to motivate people, right? Like him playing for Army, being a part of West Point, and then bringing in people who fight for our country to speak. I think he was
Yeah.
very powerful in his thinking and his thought process, but then his ability to control your emotions, if you will, by talking about Ginobili, right? Like the thing he did with Ginobili, he said he was the best shooting guard in the NBA. He
Yep.
made him watch a highlight tape of Manu Ginobili. Like, he knew
He
how to
knew
get the
how
best out
NBA
of you.
players' minds worked, even if he didn't actually coach them, right?
Yeah, he had a special ability to motivate, and I think that's the thing that I asked Brandon Ingram about. I asked Jason Tatum. I've asked them about Coach K, and they say he knows how to get the best out of you. Zion said the same thing. Like, he just knows how to push your buttons in the right way to where he can maximize whatever your ability is. But it's not for everybody. Some people crumble.
Right.
Some people can't handle it, but usually the strong survive.
So the first thing that I thought, and I was in Beijing in 2008. I covered a little bit of the lead in, didn't do much of the Vegas stuff. I had forgotten, honestly, that it was like a 3-year commitment. Well, for everybody but Kobe, but it was a 3-year commitment. And a belated a spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. I forgot that was a 3-year commitment. I'd forgotten some of the connections that were made during that buildup, like seeing Mike Miller at the Worlds, and you're just like, maybe that's how him and LeBron were just so tight. I'm sure over the years, but that's like, there was a coming together, you could tell, in that buildup to the '08 games because of, let's say LeBron, Dwayne, Melo having gone through '04, and then just that commitment to rebuilding it. I didn't remember just how impactful, how emotional that was, how much they really wanted it like that. Because the way I experienced it is like, after 92, 96, we all just kind of got lazy. It's like, all right, they're going to win. They're going to win. And I remember in '04, I was like, I just put it all in Larry Brown. To me, it was like, Larry Brown didn't want anybody to shoot. So, I mean, how are they supposed to win if nobody's supposed to shoot? And then when they lost again in the world, it's just to Greece. It's like, hey, what's going on here? And then that sort of, not just the commitment, but the patriotism was there. Obviously, with Coach K creating that again, that to me, I was going to get your take on that. Did you feel like that sort of pride going into '08? Did you feel like, oh man, like as a basketball fan, we need to get back on top of the world here?
I felt disappointed, like, as a basketball player, to see us lose, on that stage, understand the talent that we had. And I felt like it was, obviously I wasn't playing, but it was like embarrassing,
Right.
right? Like, we have the best players in the world. We have all these stars, and we couldn't come together collectively and win. So I thought that was the hard part. But then you realize that global basketball was catching up. Like, they were playing, first of all, year round. They had been playing with each other since they were kids, and now they're on the national team, where it's a year in, year out commitment, to where they're focused and they're playing for pride and they're playing for their countries, and it's important to them. I think we got back to it being important to us, and I think that was the difference, the sacrifice, constructing the right type of roster, not just the best 12 players, the best 12 players that fit what you're trying to accomplish in terms of roles. And I think getting CP, getting D Will, like getting the right pieces, getting Chris Bosh, like they handpicked the right pieces to where they could kind of fit together. You get D Wade, right? D Wade's coming off an injury. He essentially rushes back to play for the Olympics, and kind of shows like, look, I'm still one of the best players in the world. It's Bron, it's Kobe, and it's me. You know what I'm saying? I think that was a cool part to see. And then I think the storytelling aspect of Kobe's personality,
I
right? Like,
miss
we all
that
had
man
this.
so much.
I know, may he rest in peace. His personality, his demeanor, them showing like Bron cracking jokes, and then being able to sit down and talk and say, like, look, man, like Kobe works this type of way. I work this type of way, but I crack jokes. And Kobe being able to open up and get out of his shell. But then you see the maniac work ethic, where it's 5 a.m. he's working out. You see how he approaches practice. He's diving for loose balls. He runs through Pau Gasol, his teammate. Like, you see how much the game means to him. and how serious he takes it and how precise you have to be with your movements. And then him being able to tell the crowd like shh as he hits a big shot, like it was chills. It gave me chills to watch him.
Yeah, he was. I mean, it became just more serious even when he got there, and he wasn't like the most popular player in the league at the time. Like, it was still between championship runs, right? Where he was still getting a little bit of selfish, a little bit of other stuff. And you're right, like it's jarring to see it sometimes. Like it must be for even you, where it's like you work your ass off, and it's just like, oh wow, there might be somebody who works harder. How does that even work? Like, do you ever come across that and just like, man, I don't know where that comes from in certain people, because I know I work my butt off.
Yeah, I mean, I work extremely hard. I put a lot of time, a lot of hours in 6 a.m. I've done all of that stuff, but to just see how he works consistently and how he's worked and hear the stories, and it gives you perspective. Like, I work really hard on my craft. I take this game very seriously, and there's a reason why he had so much success. There's a reason why he hit big shots. There's a reason why he started with the air balls, right, as a rookie, and then took another one, and then took another one. Like, he didn't care about failure, and then he would work through it in order to continue to be able to repeat greatness. And I think that was a cool part for me to see. And then the last part I'll say is the storytelling behind how popular he was. Like, the other players talked about it, like we were pretty popular in most countries. And then we went to Asia and we seen that it was just Kobe. Everybody's favorite player was Kobe. Thousands of people outside the hotel. And that's how you knew, like, he was the global face of basketball. It was Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it feels lonely. I hope he wasn't lonely while he was doing it. I hope he knew how much he was adored. But a couple other things that were a little shocking for me. Literally made me sort of sitting up in my chair to remember, man, Carlos Boozer was on two of the most important Olympic teams in history. And I was just like, you don't remember that when he was in Utah, dude was putting up some numbers, man. Like, it was 25 and 12 for that guy. So it was like, watching it back, I'm like, man, Carlos Boozer. And I go look at the stats. I was like, wow, Carlos Boozer. He was pretty damn
Carlos
good.
was getting to it. And he had Michael Redd on there, an Ohio guy. Yep. Like, they had a deep roster. They had guys that, first of all, Chris Paul and D-Wade were coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that tells you how good they were, like, right off the rip. Like, and this is when D-Will was at the peak of his powers. Like, this is the D-Will that was 20 and 10 for like 10 straight years.
Yeah, had that handle that you couldn't get comfortable. He's just rocking and rocking. That team was ridiculous. And I understand now how good the team has to be to win these things internationally. Like, it's insane that you have to put that level of team together, and it's still a 2-point game against Spain with 3 minutes left, in the gold medal match. I think that sort of patriotism is back a little bit with the USA team, and I think that team did it for them. And I think yes, it was really cool watching them interact with the other Olympians, especially after 4 years earlier when they were on a cruise ship and isolated from everybody else. But yeah, I thought all that was pretty cool. I mean, it was strange because I was there, and there was things like the Pau Gasol foul that I didn't even notice. Like, while I was there, I was like, oh yeah, look at that. That's just another foul. I didn't really put together at the time. Maybe that's just because I'm a bad reporter. But anyway, if you haven't seen that, I strongly suggest giving it a look on Netflix.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.